Hi there, welcome back to my study guide for WSET Level 3. I'm the Sussex Wine Guy, and today we're going to be talking about the vine. So when it comes to talking about the vine, 90% of vine varieties that you will encounter are originally European vine varietals. So these will be from the subspecies Vitis vinifera. American vines are also very important, but this comes to a lot of disease resistance, which we'll talk about slightly later in the video. Vines are remarkably hardy plants. Grapevines have kind of originated from weeds, in honesty, and these weeds are designed to grow in very harsh environments of all different types. So each vine is unique and has, produces berries with lots of different flavors. Which is where you get, stuff like Cabernet Sauvignon, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc, all those different styles of grape, but they also have a lot of difference in when they bud and how they ripen, which is a serious decision when it comes to the producer of what grapes they grow in what region, because grapes will ripen and be ready to harvest at different times of the year. So you want it to connect in with the season and the climate of the area that the grape is being grown. Now, additionally, many vines will have been propagated using layering, which is taking the top of the vine as it grows out of the soil, bending it back over and planting it again. And then once the tip of the vine is then replanted, it takes root, you cut them off in the middle, and you have two vines. Now, in more modern terms, cuttings are used because many vine varieties these days are grafted. And this grafting is done generally between European Vitis vinifera vines, but using the rootstocks of American vines. Now, American vines are resistant to a bug called phylloxera, which is a vine pest. It eats the roots of the vines, and eating those roots causes wounds, which causes disease. So American vines have much stickier sap, which gums up the mouths of these phylloxera, which means they can't eat anymore. And they are also just slightly more disease resistant as well. So when it comes to planting vines these days, many vines are planted using cuttings with American rootstocks and European heads. Now, Pinot Noir and Pinot Precoce is an example of a varietal that is still very similar to its clone, so it's considered the same fruit. However, you have other clones of fruits which differentiate so much that they become other varietals. So you have this mother grape variety called Pinot, which has had clones come from it, such as Pinot Gris, Pinot Meunier, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Blanc. All four of which are considered different grape varietals because they produce vastly different wines, have very different berries, and are differentiated enough from the original Pinot that they are considered different. When it comes to creating new varietals, cross-pollination is also very common and is how many of our modern grape varieties have evolved over the years. So vines are, in a sense, self-pollinating. They have both male and female parts, so they can pollinate themselves. However, if a pollinator were to take pollen from a male part of another vine and deposit that pollen in the female part of another vine, of another varietal, that is called cross-pollination. So when that plant then comes into fruit, so the flowers turn directly into the berries, and the seeds inside those fruits were planted, you would have the DNA of both whatever varietal the male plant was and the female plant, and this would create a new varietal. Okay, and the last bit we're going to talk about on the vine today is grafting. So grafting is where you take the existing body of one vine style and you graft on the head of another vine. So you take a cutting, you cut normally a V shape in the host vine, and then you cut the cutting into a V shape as well, but the other way. You put them together and you wrap them very tightly so they grow into each other. This is a great way to kind of change a varietal mid-season, so you have already an established root system, and then you can graft on the head of another grape varietal if you want to change the grapes that you're growing in a certain field.